Hey.
Hey everyone, this is the Movie Maniac. Thank you for watching and hello to new and returning subscribers. I think this is my most anticipated film of the year because I grew up with Ghostbusters. I love the first two movies. They're on my 100 favorite films of all time list. I've been wanting a Ghostbusters 3 for a long time. We have it. Like, this is actually the real thing. This is not a remake. This is Ghostbusters 3, so that's what we're going to discuss. When a single mom and her two kids arrive in a small town, they begin to discover their connection to the original Ghostbusters and the secret legacy their grandfather left behind. So let's get this out of the way right now. This is better than the Ghostbusters 2016 remake. This one's actually made by Ivan Reitman's son, who's the director of the original Ghostbusters, and you can tell this one is put so much care into it. This is made by someone who truly cares, not only about the Ghostbusters legacy, but about making a good film and treating it with respect. This isn't some cynical cash grab where you've hired a bunch of people to come in and just knock this thing out, slap the logo on it, and just hope that people accept it. The whole film is essentially a touching tribute to Harold Ramis, who played the character Egon Spengler in the first two movies. This is something that Ghostbusters Afterlife really drives home. So with that being said, McKenna Grace plays Egon's granddaughter, and she is terrific in this role. And that's super important because this movie, even though it's an ensemble cast, hinges on her. The weight of this movie is on her shoulders in many ways. And if she didn't carry it, this would have been a disaster. And luckily she does. Thank God. And honestly, if she does show up in the sequels and becomes a main returning character, I don't think fans are going to have a problem with it. Paul Rudd, he's right at home in a modern-day Ghostbusters movie. I think that there's going to be big things for him to come in later installments if they do continue this franchise. This is something that he just feels so naturally part of the fabric of the Ghostbusters universe. Like, you couldn't have picked somebody better. My understanding is that he does have a relationship with the Reitmans, and I'm so glad he does because the comedy that he brings does really work. He doesn't feel like somebody that's out of place or miscast. All of the callbacks and Easter eggs here feel so natural because it's all woven into the story, so it doesn't feel like a cheap shot at nostalgia. For the most part, there might be a few exceptions here and there, but overall, let this serve as an example of how to return to a universe this many years later and have it all come back into the frame without it feeling super shoehorned and where it's just cheap and throwaway. I think the remake really suffered from that when they would try and throw in these callbacks and they just felt so lazy. They didn't feel inspired. Where here, it seems like we have a real story that we're working with and it all fits, all the pieces really do fit into that. So you guys already know the latest trailers have been teasing the return of the original Ghostbusters team. They're here. It takes an extremely long time for them to appear, but they're in the movie, and they're all on point. Now, there could be a criticism to be made that this is too little too late. I understand that side of things. I will say this, though, that if they weren't put in the picture, fans would riot. So I'm glad they're here. I think there may have been some budget constraints, because without giving away any spoilers, where they appear, what they do, and how that all goes down seems like it could have honestly been even bigger than they gave it and presented to us. But whatever, it's still there. And then I will add this too. I don't believe this movie was ever going to be as great as the first two. The original is a classic. I think Ghostbusters 2 is great. This was made with a lot of care and passion and love, you can tell. You might say that it takes a little while for this to get going. So much time has gone by, or it might make sense. It might truly make a lot of sense to take your time setting up this world. And that's the thing. If the new characters don't work, the movie doesn't work. So they did a great job at setting things, setting the stage, and then allowing them to flourish. So guys, with all that being said, I'm going to give Ghostbusters Afterlife a 7.5 out of 10. Very good, on the verge of being great. I can't promise you that one day I won't revisit the film and it'll bump up to an 8. As a Ghostbusters fan, I'm happy with this. There's twice in this movie, I won't tell you when, twice when my eyes got unbelievably watery. I was just telling myself, don't cry in the theater, don't cry in the theater. So, like I said, this is a touching tribute to Harold Ramis. This is a love letter to him and his life and the Ghostbusters legacy. And I'm getting goosebumps right now actually just talking about it. Personally, I think that the end of this movie could have been a little bigger. It could have been a little bit more spectacular. That's okay. Like I said, maybe there are budget constraints. This needs a sequel. Trust me, stick around after the credits too, but this movie needs a sequel. The way it ends is certainly implying that we need to go a little further into things. But for a return and a setup, this one really works. All right, guys, what do you think of Ghostbusters Afterlife? So far, everything I'm hearing is fairly positive. I'm sure there's going to be people that are going to nitpick the hell out of this movie. There's going to be other people that wanted more. And you know what? In a certain way, all of that is valid. That's all valid criticism. For me, as a mega fan of the first two, I'm okay with it. I'm definitely going to buy this when it comes out on Blu-ray. Most of you already know the drill, but for those who don't, make sure to smash that notification bell. Like, comment, and subscribe so you can stay inside the mind of a movie maniac.